And we are live. Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Kevin Pope with Dr. Julie. Oh, please pronounce your last name.
Beaulac.
Beaulac. I have just when I know it when I hear it, but not when I read it. And really, this is Julie's thing. She's an expert in this. How do you pronounce that? Vipassana?
Vipassana.
Vipassana. Whoa, that's really
Vipassana.
good for you.
Mm-hmm.
I just never had any luck with languages except for English. But she is going to present on this. This is wonderful. I am going to be behind the scenes, monitoring everything and looking up that chat. Oh, and there's somebody from Columbus. I bet it's Ohio. I'll say Kevin from Maine. We have Julie is on. There's at least 7 people on right now. So that's a good thing. You're talking to people, Julie. So
Awesome.
they're there, and you can ask them questions, and we can get responses from them. And if it's something comes up, I'll be monitoring the chat particularly. And if you ask a question, I will see it, and I can turn on my microphone and come back in and present the question. So we'll do that. So you ready to go, Julie?
Ready to go.
Okay, you're gonna see me disappear. I'll still be here though. I'm in the background.
Mm-hmm. So welcome everyone to this webinar on how to eradicate misery with Vipassana Meditation and the Matrix. And so you will not need to know how to say Vipassana in order to learn some tools on how to eradicate misery. Just follow along. So what we're going to explore today is the Matrix and how this Matrix tool can be used alongside Vipassana meditation to advance our practice. And so this tool, the Matrix, was developed by none other than Dr. Kevin Polk himself. And it's a tool that helps us look at the process and what is going on. And so if we look at the vertical line, at the top, we have our 5 sense. So if you bring your attention right now to your senses, what you're tasting, touching, smelling, that's our 5 sense experience. And now down below is our mental experience. And so it's important to notice the difference. So to be aware of what is our 5 sense experience, to slow down and become aware of what is our mental experience. Noticing is the key. And so now bringing this Vipassana meditation. So who here, I'd be curious to know who here has done Vipassana meditation before? And has anyone completed the 10-day residential course? Feel free to write in on the chat. And as you do write in, I'm going to just overview of Vipassana meditation. So it's also known as insight meditation, and it stems from the teachings of Buddha, but it itself is not non-sectarian, meaning it's open to everyone, it's not religious. The actual practice is a process of mental purification through self-observation. And so it's about changing the habit pattern of the mind. The meaning of Vipassana is to see things as they really are. And there are 2 parts to this technique. The first being awareness. So understanding through observation of one's bodily sensations. The second part is equanimity, the ability to face any experience, understanding that it's all impermanent, otherwise known as anicca. Now this course, this 10-day course, I just read here, someone finished their 7th course last year. Wonderful. Matthew from from Columbus just wrote in about that. So I just recently finished my first residential course, and during that course, there's a strict code of discipline which is followed. One part of that is complete silence. So complete silence throughout. Now, so how can we integrate Vipassana with the Matrix, with this tool? So the Matrix that I feel can help you advance your meditation and your Vipassana practice by training psychological flexibility. So what the Matrix teaches us is to notice the uncomfortable stuff that shows up. So all that bottom stuff in the diagram, to notice it with curiosity. There it is. And then to choose to do a move toward who and what's important to us in our life, even when it's uncomfortable to do so. So imagine yourself in this residential course for 10 days, meditating, sitting with your eyes closed, not moving for 11 hours a day. You're bound to have some uncomfortable stuff show up inside. So let's matrix Vipassana. So the first step to the matrix is who is important? Who is important to you? So feel free to write in, who is important to you? When we consider Vipassana, what's important with Vipassana is, I'm jumping ahead here, is equanimity and compassion. Compassion toward ourselves and toward others. Now, the second step is to consider what shows up and gets in the way of equanimity and compassion. And so, of course, people on the chat for the webinar are mentioning, wife, daughters, son, animals, friends, all sorts of people that are important to them in their lives, in addition to equanimity and compassion. Now, what shows up and gets in the way of all this and keeps us from equanimity and compassion and connecting with all these important are two main things that are spoken about in Vipassana: craving or clinging, and aversion. So when craving, actually, let's just go back for one moment to craving and aversion. So these are both sensations, bodily level sensations that arise, and sensations can be both good and bad, and we experience them as quite powerful. Now, these two things in Vipassana are viewed to produce sankharas. And this is what is the cause of suffering. And so if we can notice this yucky stuff, this craving, clinging, and aversion without attachment, then move towards and connect to who and what's important to us, that is the key to suffering. And so what do we tend to do? What do you tend to do when craving and aversion show up? Well, if you can imagine yourself, meditating for many, many hours, or even your regular meditation Vipassana practice, sitting on your cushion for half an hour or an hour, or whatever it is you do, you might notice the craving to go and do something else, or to follow a really, interesting thought that shows up in your mind. And so you might act on that craving. That might be, a move away, in the sense of something you do to try to get away from that uncomfortable feeling or to feed that craving. You might notice that you distract yourself, and so you look around or you do something different, or you move your position rather than staying still. All this kind of stuff shows up, and that's feeding the aversion. So if that's feeding the aversion and the craving, what can we do to move towards equanimity and compassion, even when this cravings show up, which are totally natural? This is just part of being human. We have urges, and that's just what happens inside of us. So when you have the urge to sleep or look around, distract yourself, move, we can still choose to go to the meditation hall or to sit on our cushion, to observe our respiration, so our breath. So to notice and stay with the breath, even when there's a craving to do something else, other thought. We might observe sensations, either intense or subtle ones, even with some aversion showing up. We might respond with equanimity, calm, and compassion, even with all sorts of turmoil inside of us. So those are the moves towards that we can make to further advance and strengthen our practice, our Vipassana practice, our moves toward reaching equanimity. Now, of course, the benefits of practice come gradually and with regular and continued practice. Any of you that have been practicing Vipassana for a while and perhaps have done one 10-day retreat know that not all is eradicated in 10 days, that there's still clinging and aversion that remains. And yet it is vital to continue to apply this technique of noticing, of observation, of respiration, of bodily sensations, and of metta, of loving kindness practice, of responding with compassion in our everyday life. And the more you practice, the more freedom from. So anicca, all sensations come and go. Everything is impermanent. Vipassana practice changes the habit pattern of the mind. So too does noticing what shows up inside of us and choosing to respond with a toward move, the way of the matrix. And so in the wise words of Goenka, so one of the people who brought Vipassana meditation to the West, with practice, he would say, you are bound to be successful. And you all to go forward and to notice what shows up inside. Notice the cravings, notice the clinging, notice the aversions, everything that our mind clings to and attaches to, the sanskaras that show up. And then to notice what you choose to do next. Is it a move away? Something that get, rid of the aversion to feed the craving? Or is it a move toward? And remember, all sensations come and go. Everything is impermanent. So thank you very much for joining me for this webinar on how to eradicate misery with Vipassana Meditation and the Matrix. You will find my slides that we've just gone over at www.drjuliebolac.com. And feel free to give me a shout if you have any questions. Just waiting to see if Dr. Polk comes join me back on for a moment. Kevin.
Sure. I think, can you see your website up?
Does anyone on the chat have any questions?
Very cool, Julia. Matt says, thanks. So when you said clinging, so that's clinging to thoughts?
Clinging to anything that shows up, clinging to a feeling that shows up in your body, clinging to a memory.
Oh, okay. So I want to have more of it. I want to.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so.
Mm-hmm.
And so clinging, if you wanted to keep on clinging, that means you would be afraid of losing the clinging.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so you're trying to avoid the loss.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Very interesting. It's definitely a very
pretty cool
and different way of looking at what's showing up inside of you. Well, and looking for specifics in terms of the aversion and the clinging. Very cool. Yeah, I really like it. Oh, yeah. And and our people.
So you can see how it maps on well to the matrix, eh?
All right. And can you I'm yep, I have your picture and it says Julie's website up. I wonder if people can see that. It's definitely difficult to hear you, Kevin. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I don't. No, I am talking right over the mic.
I can hear you better now.
That's strange. Maybe I bet you there's a bad connection. I have to work on that. Anyways, hopefully people can, it does fit very well with the Matrix. Cat says, yes, it does. And hopefully people can see your link and they can click over and I can see Julie's pick and offer. Yay, Cat. Thank you for telling me that. So I had that so people can click on that and you'll send them the slides, right?
Yes, the slides are connected to my website. So if you click on the link there, you will get them sent to you right away.
Okay, cool. Just making sure.
And any issues getting them, just send me an email.
Yeah, say that's the other way. So you can on your website as well, so they can get those.
Absolutely.
Cool. And just as an aside, I took my first meditation class in like 1983, and I've been around it forever. And I had managed to not hear of this type of meditation. I don't know. That's really wild that I missed it, but I did. But now I know more about it. It's cool.
Well, there are so many different types.
Yeah, that's true. So just hadn't come across this, but very cool, very neat, and very neat to matricize. And once again, the way whoa, Matthew wrote a long one. Kevin, oh no,
reclinging.
Regarding clinging, not reclinging. If you have an ice cream cone.
So maybe I'll read it out loud so everyone can hear. So if I have an ice cream cone, I can get lost in how great this cone is, how it compares to previous cones, how I want to share this cone with others, etc. All of these craving thoughts actually take me from the experience of the cone. I'm not enjoying the cone as long as I'm consumed by craving. Exactly. Great.
That's a nice
great explanation, Matthew.
Nice. Yeah, nice. Very nice. Wow. Okay. Very cool. Well, thank you so very much. Hopefully we've chatted along so people now they can click on your website and get over there and get your stuff and stay in contact with you. I'm sure you'll have more about that. Yeah. Julie also
absolutely
has up on YouTube or something, and we did an earlier webinar on yoga and the Matrix. So we'll be back with more of that kind of stuff. And we were discussing a holiday matrix, getting along with or somebody's. What was it, Julie? You tell me.
What was the title?
Yeah. for next month?
I think we were thinking of a title, something like "How to Survive Your Family Over the Holidays."
How to survive your family over the holidays. So I will post that in the next day or two. And for anybody still listening, and if you can't make the time next Monday, never fear. As long as you register, you automatically get sent a link to the recording of the webinar. So we'll do that. But it's nice to throw in what I call a holiday matrix there. So last year I did Scrooge. I applied the matrix to Ebenezer Scrooge of A Christmas Carol. That was fun. So this year,
I think I remember seeing that one.
That's good. So we'll have fun this year too. So we'll sign off. Thank you everybody for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
This is great. And you'll get a link to the recording. I think it's in 24 hours it goes up. So
yeah. So go forth and practice, everyone, and you are bound to be successful.
Oh, Cat saying, ha ha, ha the holiday as Matrix style bestseller in the Matrix. Okay. So we'll post it up. Bye bye, everybody.
Be well.
Be well, yes.